Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the best uses of practical effects in horror movies. As you can imagine, practical effects were very popular before the 2000s, before we saw a lot of digital effects and CGI being used. And while digital effects have a variety of uses and benefits that would be nearly impossible to do with props, that doesn't mean that they're always the best choice for the movie. And before technology really took off, digital effects were expensive, time-consuming, and hard to do. But in my opinion, practical effects have always had the upper hand. With practical effects, the actors can react in real time to the creature, animal, person, whatever it is that they're interacting with. And you get more genuine reactions and just an overall better scene. Although I am partial to practical effects because those are what I think make the 70s and 80s horror movies just so good. So unsurprisingly, all of the movies I'm going to list today are going to be from the 70s and 80s. And number 5 on this list is what gave us my favorite horror movie baddie. It is the Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie came out in 1984 and introduced us to the world of Freddy Krueger. Now obviously, Freddy's overall look is the first use of special effects that we get. And it would take 3 hours to apply this makeup to Robert Englund, along with an additional 3 hours just to remove it. And of course, the mask and chest piece that Robert Englund wore were all handmade and done and specialized just for him. But we see great uses of practical effects just throughout this entire film, like in the blood geyser scene. For this scene, the crew built a rotating bedroom set so that when blood started pumping out of the bed onto the ceiling after Glenn is sucked into the bed, it would look like the blood is spreading eerily across the ceiling. And we also get that great scene of Freddy leaning through the wall looking at Nancy, where we just see the silhouette of his hands and his face. And this was easily done by simply making a hole in the wall and covering it with spandex material that will stretch as the actor pushes through it. And little fun fact, in that scene, it's not actually Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, it's Jim Doyle, who was the special effects makeup artist for this movie. And number 4 on the list is An American Werewolf in London. This film came out in 1981, and I have made a video about this movie, specifically the transformation scene. As I talked about in that video, Rick Baker was the special effects makeup artist for this film, and he absolutely nailed it. The full moon transformation scene is long, drawn out, and horrifying, and is the reason Rick Baker was chosen to do the makeup for the Michael Jackson music video Thriller. But not only is that transformation scene iconic, it's not the only great use of practical effects we get in this movie. Griffin Dunne, who played Jack in the movie, was attacked and killed by the werewolf early on, and he appears throughout the film to his friend David in multiple states of decay. And Dunne has said in interviews that it even freaked him out seeing himself in these different states of decay. It was like looking at his own dead body. They were just so well done. And this helped David Naughton, who played David in the movie, react more repulsed and freaked out to seeing his undead friend. Number 3 on the list is Hellraiser. Hellraiser came out in 1987 and uses practical effects heavily throughout the entire film. Obviously, Pinhead and the other Cenobites, the first things that are going to come to your mind when you think of this movie and practical effects. But you can't forget Frank's resurrection scene. In that scene, Frank is resurrected from a single drop of blood, forming bones, muscle, appendages, all the works until he is fully formed as a person. The scene is gory and gross. It's disturbing to watch Frank come back to life, and even Frank himself, before he gets the skin on his body, is just super creepy to look at. And all of that was just done with makeup and practical effects. Number 2 is John Carpenter's The Thing. This film came out in 1982 and to this day holds up to the reputation. While this movie has some of the best special effects that we've seen thus far, one of the most infamous scenes happens as Dr. Copper is performing CPR on Norris after he went into cardiac arrest. After using the electric paddles on Norris, his chest caves in, and what happens next is truly terrifying. His neck extends way past human boundaries, and slimy, gross tentacles start to emerge from his stomach. And of course, all of this is happening in real time with these actors. which makes for a great overall scene as the actors are able to react in real time with this creature in front of them. And this scene is one that really sticks in people's heads long after they've watched the movie. And finally, number 1 on my list, obviously, of course, has to be the movie Alien. This movie is the oldest on my list, being released in 1979. And this movie proves that practical effects can hold up over time way better than any CGI or digital effects could. The aliens in this movie were all controlled by puppeteers off camera, and by using lighting and camera angles, we're able to see these aliens in full effect without it looking cheesy or fake. And not only is the overall alien in this movie a great use of practical effects, we cannot forget the infamous chestburster scene, where we watch a baby xenomorph literally explode out of Kane. The baby xenomorph is controlled by a puppeteer underneath of the table, and the explosion we get beforehand is a combination of fake blood and real meat from a butcher shop. And the actors on set weren't told what was going to happen during this scene, so the reactions of shock and fear that we get are very much real. And this just once again proves how effective these practical effects can be and how they give us a reaction that digital effects simply cannot. So that does complete my list of my 5 favorite uses of practical effects in horror movies. Although I do want to give an honorable mention to the 2006 movie Hatchet. I have also reviewed this movie on my channel, so you can check that out. But this film really goes back to those 80s slasher roots by using only practical effects, nothing digital. Because of that, this movie has such a great, real feel to it, and honestly, it has one of my favorite kills of all time. I mean, how could you not love that? And just knowing that it was all done in real time on set with real practical effects makes it that much better. But there are of course countless other movies that I could have mentioned that I didn't. This list could be a list of top 10, 15, 20, it could go on and on. There are tons of uses of great practical effects in horror movies. Movies like The Fly, Child's Play, Scanners, The Blob, the list could just go on and on. But what other movies do you think have great uses of practical effects? I would love to know what you guys think. You can leave a comment down below or head over to my Instagram, What a Horror. I'll be making a post about this video as well. But as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see new videos, because I put out new videos every Friday. And until next time, stay spooky.